Welcome to Syntax. Welcome to a brand new episode of the Front End Happy Hour podcast.
Welcome to this week's JS Party.
Live from Shipshape Studios, this is Whiskey, Web, and Whatnot, with your hosts, Robbie the Wagner and me, Charles William Carpenter III.
That's right, Charles. We drink whiskey and talk about web development. I mean, it's all in the name. It's not that deep.
This is Whiskey, Web, and Whatnot. Do not adjust your set.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Robbie the Wagner with Charles William Carpenter III, as always. I don't know what to do for these anymore.
I am an AI robot. I was sent by Charles, so he doesn't have to do this anymore.
Well, AI has gotten pretty good, so
yeah, exactly.
We'll see which one is more tame, the real Chuck or the fake Chuck.
Yeah, TBD, right?
Yeah.
All right, we'll introduce our guest.
Yes, we have a special guest today who I did not ask how to pronounce his last name, but it's Tom, I'm going to say Barrasso. Is that correct?
You nailed it.
Nice. Hey, how's it going? Do you want to tell the folks at home a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Yeah, so my name's Tom Barrasso, currently joining from Switzerland, but I've been traveling around the world for almost a year at this point. And right now I'm currently working in dev relations for a company called CloudMosa. They've been around for almost 2 decades, which I guess makes them pretty old in the software space. But most recently, they're here bringing a remote browser, kind of like Opera Mini, but a lot more modern, to flip phones so that you can bring web apps. So that's why it's all relevant. It's not flip phones and the web are more linked today in 2025 than you would ever imagine.
Interesting.
Where can one buy a flip phone today? Or is this just about
the local bodega?
Yeah, or is it about keeping like old hardware current?
It's about, the local Amazon. No, it really does depend. So I actually was, about a month ago, I was in India, and you joke about the local bodega, but it's actually the way that the retail model works there is through a lot of local vendors. So you've got these like mom and pop shops that sell everything from your, whatever, $70 Xiaomi and Redmi phones to these flip phones. And then some of which, the cheapest ones I was able to pick up were about $15 US. So they're being made, brand new, a couple 100 million units every year, still selling.
I think that's pretty cool, actually. I want to go to there. I don't want to go to India, but I mean, maybe someday, but not just for a phone. I want a flip phone. I want less phone. There's too much phone.
Yes, we'll get more into this. We have to start with the whiskey.
Whiskey. All right, so today, folks, we are having Johnny Walker Black Label. It is 100% malted barley, but it is a blended scotch. It is 80 proof and 12 years old, at least the barrel aging. Tom's
that cork pop.
Yeah, there you go. It's hot. Well, I didn't even bring the bottle in. I'm in a co-working space, so I just bring this little sampler and then, pour it in there. It's a nice little travel setup, actually.
Sponsored
today's
by
episode
Aged in Ore.
Exactly. It's like this little case thing, and it's got a thing for 2.5 ounces, that much pour, and then, a decent glass with it. So, anyway.
And if they pay us, you'll hear about that. If not, we'll cut it out.
Yeah, that's right. This is what we do is we insert ad reads, and then we hold it for ransom. We contact people there and be like, do you want it? Do you want literally hundreds of developers to hear about your product? Well, anyway. Cool. Well, let's. You've already poured yours, Tom, but we're going to start by taking some smells. The olfactory senses.
Smells like a freshly charred log. Very campfire.
Okay, it smells a little like a grape Jolly Rancher to me, like smelling a grape Jolly Rancher.
I think your Jolly Ranchers fell in the fire.
They might have. I'm not getting a strong fiery, but that's there's no wrong answers here. What about you, Tom?
Also not getting a strong fiery one, but when your bottle is an extra 25 years old, I think some of that has evaporated.
Yeah, between that, I mean, yours might be stronger than 80 proof at this point, but you definitely have had plenty of time to get some oxygen in there and open it up some.
This, it's a scotchy scotch. Whenever you have a scotchy scotch, I feel like they smell and taste like a Sharpie. If you like that sort of thing, then okay. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know how to describe it. If you think about a Sharpie, you take the cap off, you just smell it. You don't think there's notes of that?
Well, that doesn't remind me of like char and fire, though. Like a Sharpie. Yeah,
but
permanent
it's something
marker
about
has its own thing.
Something about that scotchy, smoky smell tends to go towards Sharpie.
Okay.
I don't know.
Fair enough. On the tongue, I do get a little bit of smokiness in there, but it's actually pretty light. Not bad. Yeah, I'm not sure. I get a little bit of smokiness there. I get a little bit of like a light lemongrass flavor. And I don't know what's coming at the end there. I don't know. Anything coming to you, Tom?
I was going to say a little bit like a toned down dry sagebrush.
Ooh, yeah, okay. I could kind of...
Not quite wood smoke, not quite.
Yeah.
Maybe mine's mellowed out, so...
No, I think you might be onto something there, but definitely a light lemon in mine on the finish side.
I don't have much to add. Should you explain our very technical rating system, Charles?
Yes, it is highly technical. It is from 0 to 8 tentacles. 0 being horrible, spit this out, put it down the drain. 4, middle of the road, not bad, would have again. Not amazing, of course. And 8 is clear the shelves every time you see it. You, on the other hand, may have a challenge in clearing the shelves, given that you cleared the shelves of where you got that particular one in the first place. And Robbie will show you how this scale works in action.
Okay, so Scotch. I'm not a big Scotch fan. I'm particularly not this kind of Scotch fan, but we are an equal opportunity whiskey drinking podcast, so we try many things. In terms of this style of Scotch, I think it is I would say this is like the Jack Daniels of Scotch. It's fine. It's a whiskey for sure. It'll make you feel nice when you drink it probably, but not something that I would reach for very often. I'm going to give it a 3, I think.
Fair enough. All right, Tom, do you feel prepared to give it a rating?
I think I can manage this one. I had a similar train of thought to Robbie, but I was going to go on the other side of that rating scale. So it reminds me of some of the very first whiskeys that I would drink, which came in plastic bottles and then eventually upgraded to ones that came in glass, like Jack Daniels that you mentioned. And thinking in college how Tennessee Honey was like the pinnacle of quality that you could achieve, when you were looking to obtain alcohol at a reasonable price, but not regret your decision so much the minute you open the bottle. It seems a little bit nicer than that. So I would go to a 5. I certainly wouldn't clear the shelf over this, but it's very drinkable.
Yeah. Where did you go to college?
UMass Amherst.
Oh, cool. Okay. Yeah, I was just wondering, what would be the selection du jour based on location and whatever else. I grew up in, northern Kentucky, Cincinnati area, so we had it all. But, we had it all in the bourbon, rye, American whiskey side of things. I would say this was probably top-tier Scotch in the late 90s. So, anyway, cool. Yeah, I think we'll be following somewhat similar trends, at least in terms of our commentary on this one. So, yeah, Johnny Walker Black is I would say it's an excellent mixer Scotch. If the recipe calls for Scotch, and I've used it many times in Rusty Nails. So that's a kind of fun, say you have a bottle of Scotch, you're not loving it, and you want a way to kind of get through it and enjoy some cocktails with friends, I would say Rusty Nail. That's a good one.
Just make sure you've had your tetanus shot.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and make sure, don't walk around barefoot, okay? That's just what the lesson learned is. So with this one, it's a blended Scotch. It's pretty mellow in the Scotch world. If you really like Scotch, you may not veer towards this one. If you really hate Scotch, you probably won't hate this one either. So it is a good, most people can agree this is fine. But it's also lacks a lot of punch and panache. But it's not terrible. I kind of feel like I'm in the range around Robbie. I don't reach for Scotch often, but if I do, I kind of want to know it's Scotch. Like Macallan, that kind of thing. Oh, this is tasty. It brings its own things to it.
More
so this is, muckety muck. So yeah, I kind of feel like a 3 too. I don't seek it out. It's not terrible. I'll finish this pour, no problem. But nothing to write home about. Mom's not going to get a postcard about this one. Okay.
Well, I don't write anything, so That would.
Nice.
Anyway,
I'm still sending postcards, but I guess that's because I'm doing a lot of traveling. I think
Yeah,
when I
yeah,
first
that's
connected with
fun.
you guys, I was in New Zealand and I had some amazing stuff
Yes.
there. But unfortunately, we ended up on Johnny Walker because as I kept moving, it turned out it's pretty difficult to find stuff cross borders nowadays. And some of the really good stuff is some of the hardest to find.
Yeah. Where in Switzerland are you?
Right now, I'm in a small town just outside of Baden.
Ah, okay. Yeah,
Have you
so
been?
even harder. I have not, but I am moving to Como, and that's in Italy, not Switzerland. I'm aware of that, but it is right next to Switzerland, and you can drive over to Switzerland in like 20 minutes, so
That's true. Yeah.
I'll be
can,
exploring.
You could do the reverse and drive to Switzerland to get lower taxes.
Right, there we go. Oh, yeah, well, maybe that'll be a little whatnot that we talk about. I don't know if you have like tax arbitrage advice, but obviously having
None.
domicile in the U.S., but then if you spend most of your time other places, but maybe you don't spend enough time to be burdened with residence tax or anything like that.
Exactly. That's part of my calculation. And that's the only calculation because I'm not at all someone of this world. I pay an accountant because I hate this stuff. So
Oh,
I
yeah.
want to not hate my life every April. And, you know, I would swear up and down the block if I had to fill out those forms myself. So I pay someone to make it his problem.
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, as do
Don't
we.
ass- Yeah, so you're not a generalist in things like accounting.
Yeah, I like business, but accounting absolutely makes me want to blow my brains out.
Yeah, that's fair. We want to keep you around so you can bring us to the promised land of flip phones.
Yes. Okay, so I don't really know what developing for flip phones even entails. So I don't know if all of our typical hot takes are relevant. I scoped the list down anyway, but we will do a few hot takes.
We'll give it a swing.
Tailwind or vanilla CSS?
I'm probably preempting some future questions. I go vanilla, and when we get into Cloud Phone, there's a compelling reason why. But yeah, I don't like bringing in 100 kilobytes of someone else's junk.
Fair.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, I guess the bundle size matters more for you.
Get merge
yeah.
or get rebase. I mean, that one might apply across the board.
Yeah.
I mostly work on stuff that's in the last year. The stuff that I do is mostly by myself, so version control is pretty straightforward for me. There's not a lot of merge conflicts here.
Push to master, or hey,
Yeah,
maybe you
push.
just FTP your stuff up to a server. I don't know.
Those were the
Oh,
good days.
we're not quite there. I like my GitHub Actions. I like having some automated tasks, but I don't.
Okay.
Yeah, I think right now the biggest code base I'm personally actively developing on is 2 people. So we have more complex stuff at the company, but they don't let me touch that. Probably for good reason. I haven't done C++ in a long time, and pointers scare me.
Okay. Fair enough.
Okay, so I don't know if you're a VS Code user, are you?
Yeah.
Okay. So
Used
is
it
the
for quite a
sidebar
while.
on the left or the right?
Ooh, left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Defaults for the win. I don't
Defaults
want to
for the win.
spend
You
time
nailed it. Power
customizing too
defaults.
much. Yeah, exactly. Okay. And how about this? Were smartphones a mistake?
Oh man, I don't think I could. No, I don't think I could go that far. I mean, they're a pretty incredible invention. They're obviously tons of flaws. They're too compelling, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah. They've stolen the
yeah.
souls of society, but outside of that, like pretty amazing.
Yeah, like I'll
Yes.
extol the virtues of flip phones all the time, but as someone who's been traveling for a while, it's remarkably hard to do it with a flip phone. Nowadays, there's so many apps you need. Like, went to the UK 2 weeks ago, and you have to download their app to do an ETA, an electronic travel authorization, and you can't do it. There might be other ways with some of these things, but like, you know, it's the difference sometimes between like, oh, do you want to use the app, or do you want to mail in a piece of paper and spend a bunch of money on an international postage stamp and like hope it gets there, and maybe in 6 weeks you'll hear from us.
Yeah, right. But that's how they keep the boomers out, I guess, right? This is also a question of like, just because this is the work you do, it doesn't mean it's the life you live. So I was actually curious there. You could be like, oh, no, hell no, I do smartphones all day long. That's just the job, yo.
No, I did genuinely try. So my flip phone journey started 5 years ago when I built my podcast app, PodLP, for it. It originally started right at the start of the pandemic when I was talking to my girlfriend and was like, I really want to switch to this flip phone. I keep hearing about people doing it, but I just don't know how. And then she's like, oh, you'll never do it. They don't have podcasts, and you love listening to podcasts. So how would you ever switch to this? And I was like, okay, I'll build it, right? That can't be that hard. So I as the start of the pandemic, so many things I couldn't do, way more time at home. And I was just like diving into what it means to make a podcast app. And this was pre-podcast index. So I was like, what is RSS? Where do I find all these feeds? Like, where do they exist in the world? How do I gather all that data? How do I get it down to work on one of these phones? Yeah, and I tried it out, and it's fun. I would take it for like camping trips, but there were just too many hurdles, especially 5 years ago. There were too little services built for them, and especially during the pandemic when everything became digital, right? You started having QR codes for the menus. You started having you needed special transit apps. You constantly need to be on the web to check like when you could go to some place because the times were all weird, like when you could show up versus. So yeah, COVID, I feel like really pushed people into like needing smartphones to always be connected and always be ready for like who knows what.
So in the last 5 years, do you think it's gotten better or worse? I mean, I guess your current company is trying to make it better, but do you think, I'm just curious in general right now, if I went and got a smartphone, would it be harder or easier? Sorry, if I went and got a flip phone to leave smartphones.
I would say in the West, it's probably still pretty difficult. The truth is that a lot of the stuff that you would want hasn't been built because that's not the major market. There's a pretty sizable community of digital detoxers who are interested in these phones, but the platform, so CloudPhone is actually not available right now, at least commercially at an appreciable scale in the United States. It's just not that the target market. The primary focus is devices that are incredibly cheap, incredibly affordable. And the truth is most of these digital detoxers are actually buying like kind of nicer, higher end flip phones. Sometimes I see them on Reddit and they're buying like importing ones from Japan that are sometimes more expensive than smartphones, which is
I need to
awesome.
find out what this phone is.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, I was going to say I have seen some of that, and you'll see with e-ink screens. There's certain ones like the minimal phone or it's something like that, and they're expensive, right? There's like $400 to $600 for what is supposed to be less, and then they'll still give you some app access and all of that. But I guess like step one is they think with e-ink it'll be less compelling to kind of stare at it for long periods of time.
Scroll
and you can
social
read
media
text.
with e-ink. Yeah.
Right, exactly. But they're expensive. It's kind of like to detox in that way. The opportunist cost is still like, well, you have money, you're just choosing not to do this, and rather than like the economic reasons that might drive people to just a flip phone.
Yeah, exactly. And I think there's a big difference in knowing what you're missing. Like if you've already had a smartphone, you've had 1,000 apps before, like you've had your bank app, you've had whatever digital wallet you use, you've got, apps for social media, you've probably got like 5 different apps for messaging people, so you've really been hooked into the ecosystem. But if you're brand new to the phone world, or maybe you're finally upgrading from, a Nokia series from 2005 and you're forced to because your telco shut down 2G and 3G and you have to move to a 4G flip phone, then you're probably just going to pick the cheapest option you've got available, which hopefully we won with the cloud phone service. But yeah, at the end of the day, I mean, you're coming from approaching the market very differently and thinking about the types of ways that you interact with technology very differently, or thinking about it just less, right? Like your life is so much less digital if you've made it to 2025 and you haven't found that you needed 150 apps.
Right.
Yeah. I think there's for me, it's the little things that I don't think I could do without, like iMessage and like these headphones connecting to all of my devices and like things just being easy. But I do wish that like someone would make a non-smartphone that did all that. Like if you could do the nice things, like I want to listen to music still, but I don't need like internet really. Like, I don't want social media for sure. Like, I know that, you could just delete the apps. Yeah, I could. But, like...
You have no self-control. I mean,
yeah.
Come on, look
like,
at it. Of course he doesn't.
I want something to force me into doing it. Like, there's lots of high-end people trying to do this, but it just hasn't fully come full circle yet, I guess.
Call it the camping phone or something like that. Like, can use in emergencies, but doesn't access a bunch of services. I don't know.
Yeah, you might be surprised with how advanced these gotten. So at the very bottom of the market now, you've got some of these cloud phones that are like $15 But if you go even just a little bit up to about 20 US dollars, I've got one that's got Wi-Fi, Bluetooth. It can connect to even AirPods. It doesn't have the same seamless experience that your iPhone does. And by that, I mean, you put it in your ear. It doesn't auto pair because it doesn't have that software integration, but you can go to the Bluetooth settings, discover it, pair it. I think we're inching there. I mean, we've got ones with NFC now that can do digital payments. Every one of these in India comes with UPI. So it's pretty incredible, like where they've come, and I think where they could go.
Yeah. What about like ride sharing stuff? Is there an option for that?
No.
There's no. I mean, if anything, I think the market would demand the flip side of that, right? So if we were to work with a ride, not to say we wouldn't, of course, if Uber wanted to, be on this platform, we'd happily take them. But I think if anything, you'd have it the other way around. You'd have the drivers who have flip phones in India on a tuk-tuk, with the Uber app on their flip phone. And then, it would give them all the basics that they need to be able to do this. But right now, there's very few of them with GPSs. And the ones that do, they're not very good. The GPSs they have are pretty coarse.
Yeah, I mean, $20 is not going to get you a GPS, I would say. Right.
Yeah.
You're going to have to elevate a little bit more above that.
Yeah, that's not going to get you a Chipotle burrito these days. Like,
Yeah, just about getting there.
yeah,
Let's talk about the cost of fast food. What a beefy cheese burrito at Taco Bell is almost $6 now. $6 US. You don't have that problem in Switzerland. They have actual food.
Oh yeah, but it's much worse. I walked into a McDonald's because I love seeing sometimes like, oh, what's the McDonald's in this country have? And they've got raclette, which is like their font. It's like a type of cheese that you melt.
I like raclette.
They have a McRaclette burger, but it was 16 francs, which is probably about 20 US dollars.
Wow.
That's
Did you try it?
crazy.
I did not. At that price, I was like, oh my God, I'll go somewhere
Not
else.
willing. Curiosity didn't get the best of you there. I would have gotten it, I'm going to say. And they probably sold a beer with it
100%.
too, and it would have been like, this will make it feel better. Yeah, the McDonald's quality elsewhere in other countries is better though too. Like it's just fresher.
Because a lot of stuff is outlawed in most other countries.
Yeah. Meat-like products are just actual meat. But anyway, I digress.
This just in, whiskey.fund is now open for all your merch needs.
That's right, Robbie. We're hearing reports of hats, sweaters, and t-shirts, as well as a link to join our Discord server.
What's a Discord server?
Just read the prompter, man.
Hit subscribe, leave us a review on your favorite podcast app, and tell your friends about our broadcast.
It really does help us reach more people and keeps the show growing.
All right, back to your regularly scheduled programming.
I would be curious and maybe we can find a way like offline later where you can share a few links to like some of these low cost phones. You can't guarantee anything's available in the US, but I'm just like curious like what it shows for features and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, I can sort of walk through what one of these would look like and the lay of the land of the flip phone world, which I guess I hadn't really given the outline here. I'm sure everyone here is familiar with like the old Moto Razors and stuff, the old Nokias, back when they were Symbian before Microsoft bought them and threw them in the gutter. So those phones, they had some version of an app, right? I don't know if you remember J2ME, Java 2 Mobile Edition. It was like a heavily watered down version of Java that was brutally fragmented across every phone. And you could write some apps, and if you were lucky, you'd get it to compile, and then you'd send it off to an OEM and they would stamp it with their digital signature and put it on God knows how many different, back then telcos used to run app stores. They used to have like the Verizon App Store, the T-Mobile App Store. And that was how it kind of worked. And then there was Brew, which was its own thing that was mostly in the US, but also somewhere else. So they kind of marched along, but they were all doing their own thing. Writing apps was pretty painful, but you could. And then you had Opera Mini for a browser. And then, I think the Symbian days really hit their peak in like 2011, 2012, just before Windows Phone became Nokia's focus. And then you started to have a little bit more. It was kind of like BlackBerry. You were still writing in Java. You still had proprietary SDKs, but there was just more of an ecosystem around it. Apple kind of forced everybody into that world. And then, Google quickly after with Android. And then it kind of died down for a while, right? Because the companies that were making these things, they all wound down or limped along, getting taken over by Android and Apple. You had Firefox OS, actually, which was one attempt at a competitor to bring a web platform to this world.
Yeah, I kind of remember that.
Yeah, it was a cool project, but it didn't really go very far commercially. They had a couple of devices, but it never really hit the shelves. But the idea was there, right? It was like, we're going to bring web apps to smartphones. So that it wasn't PWA back then. It was like, it will be the native app. That's the platform. And then Firefox OS, the team ended up being reincarnated to become KaiOS, which became a flip phone platform. So you had all these flip phones running Firefox as their operating system. And then apps were web apps. They launched in, I'll say 2018, give or take. They had some stuff before then, but they really hit their strides in 2018 with the JioPhone, which sold, I think, from 2018 until now, like 135 million units of all their various models in India. So it was a huge success in India, and to a lesser extent outside of India. It's still sold today, especially in the US, actually. If you buy a flip phone, odds are it's going to have KaiOS. And then 2 years ago is when we launched CloudPhone. It really came from seeing the trends in the flip phone space where KaiOS is kind of like smartphone light. They called it a smart feature phone. So the prices, they started inching up and up and up along with smartphones, especially with the chipset shortage during COVID, inflation, all that stuff really started to eat at the cost of these. And so then, CloudPhone basically was like, well, if we do all the web rendering in a server somewhere, you don't even need the hardware that these phones run on is as low as 16 megs of RAM, single core, 1 gigahertz, sometimes even less than that CPU. So there's nothing on these phones. I mean, in terms of hardware, like I think of them as a glorified calculator by today's standards.
Yeah, that's really interesting. So the internet is obviously a really important part of providing the experiences.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of platforms recognize that it's pretty difficult to draw developers to niche platforms, and one way that you can is by lowering the barriers to entry. And so web is a great way to do that by saying we're going to bring the web to your phone, and now everybody who's been building PWAs for years can ship them finally somewhere and have a real app store, have an ecosystem, get downloads. And KaiOS did this, but they've always, I think one of the things they struggled with was that all of the apps, because they run on the phone and because they run on very outdated versions of Firefox, it ends up being quite an ordeal to actually get your app to run on it effectively. I remember the very first versions of PodLP would crash because podcast thumbnails are like 3,000 by 3,000 pixels, and displaying that on the phone it ran out of memory. So I had to build a thumbnail service that shrunk them. And
I just did that too.
Oh yeah, isn't that fun?
Yeah, I mean, I did it all through Vercel's image optimization stuff, but it was our website for each image for each episode. We have a different image, and they have to be 3,000 by 3,000. So it was the slowest web page ever to just load our list of episodes. So now it's not.
Yeah, and in the modern world of smartphones, it doesn't really matter. But if you have your iPhone can download an RSS feed for Joe Rogan with God knows 15 megabytes worth of stuff. It can download actually, if anything, Apple really wants you to have the 3,000 pixel images because they've got, I don't even know, what are they calling the latest screen now? It was Liquid Retina, but now it's something else where the pixels are, quantum level.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know. Yeah. Yeah, more than you can see with your eye these days, past the resolution that even matters, but it looks a little cleaner.
Yeah. I mean, and don't get me wrong, those things are awesome. I'm on Apple Silicon. They make some pretty cool stuff. But, it is kind of fun when you work in this environment where the smallest phones that we sell have QQ VGA screens, which is 120 by 160. That's a number of pixels you can count. That's how sometimes, you're building the website and you're off by 1 pixel with a border or something. You're like, it blends in, especially in today's screens. On these phones, it's that 1 pixel could be could bleed over and could alter your layout. It could look really, strange.
Now that you mentioned that, I don't think I've ever developed a website that I checked past 300 pixels was the smallest width. So that means probably everything I've ever built is terrible on any of these devices. I wonder if you've had a lot of experience with that sort of thing. It's an education problem, I think, to developers building websites that they would even have users that might have a screen that small.
Yeah, the interaction patterns become very different at a scale like that. I'll say right now, you mentioned Tailwind at the very beginning. If you're using Tailwind or Bootstrap or any of these big CSS, I don't know what they call them, frameworks, libraries, what is it in the CSS world? If you're importing one of these, the smallest breakpoints that they set for extra small or small, I think is, because I just wrote this up for Smashing Magazine, it was 520 pixels, give or take. that means that everything below 520 is treated as the same, right? So unless you are adding your own, so unless you're putting in your own breakpoints. And yeah, I think the problem with that is that you end up just taking like a smartphone layout, like you're building something for the iPhone 8 and you're like, oh, let's just squeeze it into 120 by 160. And it's like, no, that's half of an Apple Watch. That is so small that you can't just have the sticky nav at the top. You can't have the cookie banner down there because the whole screen's gone. That's it. Those 2 buttons and the sticky header and you're done. There's nothing left.
Yeah, it's hard mode. You've got to basically like CSS change everything. Like if it's this small, move it everywhere, hide all the things.
Or
So
maybe
that's-
just disable CSS at certain size.
well,
Yeah,
then
you could.
It would have no style at all.
No style, whatever. An HTML document in its rawest form as intended.
Oof.
There
I can't
are-
get behind that.
I found a phone in India that was from 2018 that has a version of Opera Mini that's text only. So you could do that. You could just take the website and render it like that. But
Right. Yeah.
you know, everyone's doing SPAs now. So now what?
Yeah.
Now you get JavaScript and no CSS?
That sounds like
Do it without JavaScript too.
yeah, I was gonna say, how does it work without? I mean, it doesn't. An SPA really wouldn't. And so, what does it fall back to?
Well, essentially every website won't work without JavaScript because, I mean, you can, but you can't ever like click a button and be like, thanks for contacting us. You would have to post it to the other page. You can't like reload the screen without the
Hypermedia
JavaScript.
Controls would still work, which is
Yeah.
an anchor and a form. And so if those basic things would work, I just wouldn't want to have to enter details on a form, from what was that
What's
T9
your address?
keyboards or whatever, and you're like, people used to be really fast with those things, and I never was that
T9?
fast. The T9 keyboards. No, as soon as they have like the Sidekick or something like that. As soon as they had like the full keyboard flip open side
yeah.
things, I was all over that because I was never good with a T9. But could you imagine within like a web form trying to be like, ding, 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 Anyway, I do like I think it's interesting to start to like develop value on the web with constraints. That kind of sounds fun to me in a weird, like, hate myself kind of way. But yeah, I think it sounds kind of cool, actually.
I was going to say at Amazon, I never actually worked for this team, but there was a like Kindle team, and the Kindle team has to ship everything in like ES3, like really old JavaScript, because it's like a bespoke browser or something that they have for Kindle that like only runs ES3. So it's like, another environment where it's like you're very constrained. You can't use most of the stuff you're used to using.
I was just thinking about the Kindle because I brought it up to our company. I was like, oh, why doesn't Kindle move to a remote browser? And I think there's probably two key reasons. One is the only reason you use your web browser in your Kindle is to connect to a Wi-Fi network. And sometimes if you're on a public network, you've got a captive portal. Captive portals don't work in remote browsers because they're not running in your local network. They're running in a server somewhere. So that's one. And two is people just don't need or want that, right? The reason you bought a Kindle is because you want something. And I've got one. I love it. It's got a ridiculous battery life. It's the one thing I never have to charge. When it gets low, it's like a shock to me. I'm like, oh, what has it been, like 6 months? Yeah, but I've used that browser, and you can basically, like you were saying, you can submit an HTML form. That's what it can do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's something to be said there. Yeah, I wonder if on the Kindle platform too, like there's some sort of DRM constraints. They just want to reduce access in general.
Yeah, I don't know the whys. I just know that the guy on the team reached out like, hey, would you have any interest in switching teams to work on this challenging thing? And I was like, no, thank you.
There's no Ember.js on the Kindle, is my guess.
Yeah, I don't think you would want to use that. Like these days the framework is like tree shaken and smaller, and your bundle is like fine. But yeah, classic Ember trying to load on anything would be like, I'm so big I can't do it.
Yeah. Nice try. This is an SPA. So Robbie has a question on here about AI. I think this is a funny one. Is how does AI play into this world? Is it useful for developing feature phone apps?
AI in general, I could take this in so many ways. For developing, I would say it's mixed. The reason I would say it's mixed is if you're developing for KaiOS, there's so little material out there for it. I know because I run one of the only blogs focused on KaiOS. So it's a small world. It hallucinates a lot. It makes up a ton of crap about APIs that don't exist, permissions that don't work that way. So caution there. For Cloud Phone, I would say you can get 90% of the way if you're using AI because it's running currently Chrome 128, but we update the browser engine periodically. So it's a very recent version. So if you just think about targeting Chrome for a really tiny screen, it actually can be quite helpful. I had it do that. I've tried both building new apps and adapting apps. I'm skeptical in general on building new apps. Every time I go to AI for this, I feel like it invents complexity like no one's business. I'm working on a currency converter app, and I think my version is like currently, and I'm doing it in TypeScript, and I'm trying to do it clean and all this nice stuff, like maybe at like 600 lines of code. And I'm going to add a little bit more style for this. Maybe I'll hit 1,000. The one when I was trying Claude, it put out, God, it was like 500,000 lines. It had a Docker build with a server that it didn't do anything. The server had an API URL that said, to do, please update with a real URL where I was going to fetch the data from. That's like, I just looked at this thing. It's like, oh my God, where have I gotten? I've got like 30 components. Like,
yeah. I think it has no idea what it's doing. And so it tries to add more and more code to get around the bugs, but then it just breaks eventually.
Yeah, or you're like, hey, the input's not working, like it's not formatting the currency this right way. It keeps focusing on the symbol, but I want the cursor to start on the first character where the user types the number. And then it's like, okay, I just imported this library, and this library I imported 4 more libraries with it. And then it actually doesn't really know how to use the library, and so it puts the component in somewhere, but actually it doesn't realize it's using an Angular component, but it imported React, and it's just, it falls apart pretty quickly. So like, you can get to a prototype fairly fast, and it kind of works. But if you actually want to ship it in production, like one of my first jobs was working in a marketing agency, and that's what they did, right? They had me like build these really, really quick POCs, and then you have a client turn around and be like, great, let's keep moving this. Let's ship it to production. It's like, no, there's so many things wrong.
It was never intended for real life. Yeah. A lot of smoke and mirrors here.
Exactly. They're like, oh, but this looks so good. And it's like, yeah, because I hard coded, or I like made it an image where the animation was supposed to happen so that you didn't have to know what happened behind the scenes.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah. So I think that echoes a lot of people's experiences. Yeah. Starting from zero, I've been pretty skeptical and very skeptical of no code solutions, especially if you have like, I want it in this technology using these constraints and this library only. And it's like, cool, I'm going to do that in React anyway. And I'm going to bring in these 16 component libraries instead of writing any of it myself. And here you go. Or they go through these cycles of like, it just won't build. They'll start adding features, and then it breaks and it can never build. And it's like, you ran out of credits, upgrade your account. And I'm like, I'm not sold on that upgrade.
Yeah, or you run out of tokens. Like,
tokens.
Your chat window is just like full, and it's like, hey, I can't do anything else. And I'm like, wait, what? Why don't you just let it go infinitely?
Yeah, this is Chuck E. Cheese. That's why.
But what I will say about AI, though, not necessarily for development, but in the use of your app, it's actually incredibly valuable. So we've got the ChatGPT app and Gemini that both run as web apps on Cloud Phone, which is pretty incredible that you can take a $15 phone, point the camera at something and ask Gemini, what is this? Or have it translate something for you. And where I think it could be really huge is speech interfaces, again, on a device that you can't type very well on. Or actually, let's think about the users here who are in languages that maybe they can't even type, or typing is like way more of an ordeal than English, which has 26 characters. But like, what are you going to do when you've got hundreds, thousands? You've got an iconographic language, or you've got ones that are, so there's like Whisper, which is a pretty common speech to text model that you can use. There's translation models, and there's even a lot of like Indian universities have been building forks of models like Whisper for languages like Tamil and Telugu, which is pretty incredible that you can now have people converse with your app in their native language on a phone that costs $15 and use your service. Yeah, and it's a much more powerful way of navigating and understanding the world for someone who this is probably their first phone and the first time they're ever using the internet.
Now I'm very curious. Did everyone have to text in English forever? I never thought about that, because like your 1 through 9 having all the letters on it would not have all the characters in like Japanese or something. Like, how did they just have to text in English? I don't know.
Sure.
How did that work?
Kind of yes and kind of no. I mean, it depends on the language. Some languages have built out systems to map characters to various keyboard layouts, including T9, and then other ones. I don't know about Japanese specifically, but like there's a huge, I mean, so English is a very popular language in India because there's so many different regional languages, but you end up with, when people type Hindi now, you often have like a Hinglish language where it's Hindi, but it's phoneticized as the way that you'd pronounce the word in English. So they're using Hindi words, but writing them out in Latin character set. So you get a lot of that too in the world.
Oh yeah, phonetics makes a lot of sense, I guess, rather than literal characters. I read a book once that was actually it was Train Spotting, and it's written out in phonetics for Scottish, which obviously is also English, but sounds
really
real
fun,
fucked up.
Sounds like.
Yeah, it sounds real fucked up and whatever. So I thought that was a fun one. It was like slow to start reading at first, but then you kind of get into the vibe, and then you're like, okay, I get it now, and you're playing Scottish, accents in your head. But anyway, unrelated tangent to a degree, but like writing things out in phonetics is. That makes a lot of sense, actually.
Oh, but Scottish is amazing too. I love it. One of my favorite accents because it's sometimes they have some sayings that are just so absurd.
Okay, Glasgow or Edinburgh, though? Very different.
Oh, Glasgow, because the Glaswegian accent is completely unintelligible. I was in New Zealand with somebody, I think they were from Germany or France, and they turned to me and they're like, do you understand this person? Are they speaking English? And I was like, I actually don't know. And I claim to be a native English speaker.
Right, exactly. Glaswegian or Scouse? I'm not sure which one is more unintelligible, but like equally like hard to follow in my experience, for me at least. Yeah, so that's interesting. You like the more confusing, the better for you. I'm picking Edinburgh because it is kind of like pretty sounding Scottish, and that's both nice towns. But man, what are you saying? I have no idea. I'm just nodding and drinking. I have no idea. And then you got to say, well, if you like Glaswegian better, then so is it Celtic or Rangers?
Well, I'm from Boston.
So Celtic, I guess? Yeah, the Celtics and then all of that, yeah. I know in Glasgow it's like a Christian or Protestant thing, but I don't know which is which, so womp womp.
Well, there are wars here.
They're both Christian. You probably mean Catholic or Protestant.
So yeah, Catholic or Protestant, yes. Thank you for the correction there. I'm clearly, devoutly...
You're theologian right here.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Robbie's going to church right after this, so... That Wednesday night mass.
Yeah,
I got to get off here for dinner, but it's a mass actually.
The mass is my stomach. Got him.
Oh, gosh.
Okay, so you've been traveling around a lot. I can't remember if we talked about this after recording or beforehand or what about various things about where you've been, but like what tips do you have around digital nomad life in general? Are there certain countries that are better than others? We talked about taxes a little bit, like tips to avoid accidentally having to pay taxes or get like extra visas, or I don't know. What do you got for us?
Ooh, I won't delve into taxes. It sounds like a lawyer or accountant's problem.
Yeah. You don't want to get sued.
I don't need to get sued. No tax advice here. It depends on what you're looking for, what level of infrastructure you're here for. Like, I had an amazing time. I spent most of my time in New Zealand, almost 6 months. I bought a van. I had Wi-Fi in it. It was hooked up to 4G.
Nice.
I just plugged it into a cigarette outlet that was hooked up to a solar panel, and it worked super well. I got Wi-Fi more than 90% of the time. Most of the campgrounds had it. Pretty much everywhere you go had it. But that said, nothing about New Zealand was built for digital nomads. It's just everything was, easy. They speak English. It's clean. Everything's safe. You don't really have to worry about anything. So it's just a lot easier to navigate. And I've been a few other places, Vietnam, India, Thailand. I think Thailand's a popular one for people for obvious reasons. Good quality of life, really good infrastructure. Also, by the standards of Southeast Asia, pretty clean, pretty safe.
Very inexpensive.
Yeah, inexpensive. Vietnam's even cheaper. I love Vietnamese food, so it was amazing. Yeah, that worked really well for me. India's quite difficult. It could work, especially if you stay put a lot, but getting around can be a pain. Definitely some questionable roads there. And I think just you will get a lot of stares, especially if you're like me and you're a shade of white that doesn't tan very well. You're kind of like a glowing beacon to everybody who's just like, oh my God.
Robbie knows your pain.
Yes.
Look at him.
Yeah. But all amazing places to be, and I think you can make it work. It just depends on what you're looking for, right? Do you want to sit by the beach and drink, water from a coconut out of a straw? Do you want to, live in an air-conditioned tower because it's 98 degrees in 98% humidity all day? Do you want to be out hiking and then like occasionally getting work done?
Did you drive in India, Annie?
Oh no, that was the one place I wouldn't get behind the wheel.
I was gonna say, you're like getting around. I'm like, I wonder if he tried driving because I wouldn't. But
Because I got used to driving the left side from New Zealand, so I was thinking about it. I was like, oh, maybe I could. And then when we got there, it's like, oh god, no, absolutely not. Especially near a city, don't even think about it.
oof, yeah, like walking is even kind of quasi dangerous.
Not even quasi.
Yeah, just real danger all around.
You just can't move whatsoever.
It's just, you have to understand the vibe and the flow of the crowd and all that kind of stuff. It's really what it is. It's kind of like, I think from what I've been told, I haven't been to India, but I have been to Thailand and in Bangkok. You know how it is? It's like these weird sort of like just constant flows of motion through multiple intersections, and just like 6 people are on a moped and the cars are just nose to nose and all this stuff, but it keeps moving. And I'm like, hell no, I wouldn't drive this. And I've heard that India can be like 100 times worse.
At least 100, maybe 1,000. Vietnam was like Thailand you're describing. It's like a beautiful choreography where you see 1,000 mopeds all descend on one intersection at the same time, and they all just know how to go around each other, and people walk right through it, and it's totally fine. And in India, it's just constant beeping. It's like tuk-tuks coming 4 ways with a truck in the middle of the road, and like someone's trying to help someone reverse into an intersection, and like everything's just happening all at once, and everyone's angry and everyone's honking, and yeah, it's definitely not choreography. It's just chaos.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there you go. Some massive differences. Do you want chaos and very spicy food?
Yeah.
Yeah. I like Indian food, but I think I'm too weak for it.
Every day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Every day.
Yeah.
I just live on the toilet. Let's just be honest. I'm in India. I live on the toilet.
You also would have a hard time finding whiskey, just to relate that back to us, right? Because depending on what state you're in, I was in Kerala, and it's all run by the government. And so most hotels, most restaurants, they don't serve alcohol of any kind, and definitely not hard liquor.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's funny. We've had some Indian
Not
whiskey.
visiting there.
Yeah. Tell me I don't want to go. I'm just going to England for good Indian food. We've had some whiskeys from India. Emroot was one that I recall offhand. We had a couple of their expressions, and fucking terrible. I don't know what it was. It was like, it looks fancy. It's got nice packaging. They have all these like things. So you feel like maybe this is good, but it wasn't. It was like cow's butthole.
Maybe they keep the good stuff to themselves, or maybe they just don't have enough of a market to get good at it.
I don't know.
If
yeah,
you
they're
have
trying to get in
nothing
there.
else available, how would you know if the stuff that you make tastes good?
Right. Yeah. I mean, they're out in the global market though, and you'll see it all over the place, and it's well marketed, and the branding looks nice. And it's like, it's got a lot of potential. And then you try it, and I'm like, I would rather drink whiskey out of a plastic bottle than this. That was my experience. I don't know. I want it to be better. Just hasn't.
Yeah, we did the whiskey advent calendar, and I think there were 2 or 3 from India in there. Without reading the description or where it was from, and you taste it and it was terrible, you'd be like, yep, that's probably from India. And it was. So maybe they'd pick the wrong ones. I don't know. Would be down to try more of them, of course. But yeah, haven't had good successes so far.
Yeah.
Sorry, I couldn't bring any with me. Although, to be honest, I don't know which ones I would pick, because it's probably overwhelming, and I wouldn't know how to pick from a shelf. Honestly, even being here in Switzerland can be challenging. I have to like put Google Translate to half the packages to figure out even like what I'm looking at, what it has in it. So I can't imagine going to a liquor store and being like, which whiskey is good in India?
You're on the French side too, the Swiss French, not Swiss German, right? Yeah. Since you said francs earlier. Franc.
Like, the currency's the franc, but I honestly have no idea where in one single day, in one town, I had someone speak Italian, someone speak German, someone speak French, and someone speak Spanish to me, and I was just like, I don't know what I'm going to get. I don't know what they're going to start speaking to me in.
Yeah.
They're all similar enough.
German, yeah,
Well, not
very
German,
similar
not
to
German.
Italian. Yeah, there you go. Sprechen Sie Deutsch? What? Do you speak any of those languages, Tom?
No, not well. I speak very poor Spanish and Italian. I studied Italian, and then I self-studied Spanish and have been to Spanish-speaking countries, but now I just confuse the two.
Yeah, they like overlap in your mind. I can see where that would be easy to do.
Yeah, but they're close enough. French, I make no effort to. I've been to France, and they don't even like it when you try, so it's not worth trying. At least the Germans will give you some applaud for attempting, and a little bit of encouragement, like, oh, look, baby's first German words. Look at him trying.
Oh, right. Yeah, I was going to say, they're going to be cynical. I mean, like, be nice, I guess, is like, they were like, oh, thank you for trying. You are very bad at this.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then they
Yeah.
just speak English to you because they speak English perfectly.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's
Yeah.
easy enough. Okay. So you used to work at a Menomina company. Some people call this Fang or Mang or whatever else. We've decided
It's
to appropriate
Menomina.
and make it Menomina now. Because there's more letters. This is a fun throwback to the Muppets, so on and so forth. So yes, you worked at Amazon and Facebook?
Yeah.
Okay. Tell us about that. You worked there? You don't work there anymore? End of story.
Done.
Those are
Good question.
Those are factual statements.
Yeah, I try to. We do a lot of research at this show, and we've got a team of literally 0 people working day and night.
But hey,
I guess
it's
I have
lot
a team
better
of
than
1.
those- oh my God, better than those account managers that are all just ChatGPT now, who send you 41 messages that are all slight variations of the same thing. Dear first name, please, why have you not responded? We have an incredible opportunity for you.
Yeah, for sure. Maybe you're busy, but are you not busy? Feel free to click my Calendly or cow.com link and set up time with me. Oh, I don't want to. Why do you have my name? No. Farming from LinkedIn. Let's talk about how terrible LinkedIn is. Just that it exists. It's a platform of lies. You must be your non-authentic self and be on there and be like, that created great value. Anyway, sorry, this is devolving.
That's all you say on everything. Yeah.
Yeah. I just want to talk about, I was having dinner with my family the other day and was thinking about business. Yeah.
Oh man, you joke,
Yeah.
but I remember one of our senior engineers. So when I started out at Amazon as in a subsidiary at PillPack, and we had a front-end engineer who's like that, who spoke in a language that was like, delivering, business value through, incremental improvements to blah, blah, blah,
That guy's probably
driving
very high
successful
up in
outcomes.
Amazon now.
I was going to say, he's probably done well because of it. You just robot your language. So disingenuous in ways.
Yeah. Yeah, I had a, my manager's manager was like that. Like, he would just talk and you would be like, these are big words. You're very smart. Yes. And I could never do that. I mean, that's part of why I never was promoted, I guess.
There you go. You're the flip phone of the engineering world.
Oof.
So
Does
you
that
mean I'm the
you're-
better
Oh.
option?
Uh,
The tried and true.
It's subjective, right? I don't think it's a bad option. It's just depending. It's just like being a nomad in the world. It depends on what you want, Robbie.
That's true.
That's some good manager speak. It's like you come to them and they're like, depends on what you want in the world. I'm like, yeah, but I wanted a promotion. Like, well, it depends.
Yeah, it depends on you not sucking anymore. I'm
Yeah.
gonna need you to do less sucking and more doing. How about that? Yeah, and your doing should also not suck.
Yeah, no, it was actually nothing about work at Amazon to get promoted. You've heard many times. It's just like, is your promo doc good enough? Did you do all of the Amazon things? Like, it has nothing to do with how much work you ship. You could ship like 1 line of code and they'd be like, oh, yes, you can talk the talk. You can be promoted.
He's
Yeah.
not bitter.
There was a book that I'd read, and now I'm going to forget the name of it, but they had this concept. Actually, it was towards the end, and they were describing it was like return on, the concept of return on capital invested, right? If you're building a business, it's like, if I give you $1,000, can you give me 1,100 and how quickly? So how much am I going to get back? Theirs was like return on politics invested. And so it was basically trying to get at that thing that everybody knows where it's like you're at that 3-person startup. You know what you can't do is politics, because you know what you can see immediately when there's 3 people sitting at the table together is someone bullshitting you. You're like, well, did it work or not? Did you ship it? Is it there? Can I use it? And then you're at one of these big companies and it's like, there's a function of scale and the number of managers and the way that communication works that return on politics invested is massive. It's because like if you're at the Amazons or the Facebooks or whatever, if you go from senior to staff to principal, you go from like whatever, $150,000 a year to 1.5 million. You've like 10x yourself when you make those big jumps. What are you going to do at a startup? You're going to be like, can I get promoted? I'm the 3rd engineer here. Promoted to what? You're already the 3rd engineer. Like, what do you want to be? So
Right.
there's no return and there's no need for politics. So the value add is basically negative. you're at a big company and that's all there is. It's just your personal benefit is maximized by your ability to communicate and navigate the systems that they've built.
Yeah. And it's very hard to get promoted. And then everyone that does get promoted decides, they're at that level. Should this person get promoted? They get to weigh in. And it's like, they think it's this big fancy thing. So they don't want everyone to have it. So they like artificially like stamp everyone down. And like, yeah, it's a shit show. And I'm not going to keep talking about that. I do have one more question for you. If you were not in tech, what other career would you choose? And to clarify, this could be, you could just magically get a skill. Like if it's a thing you think
don't
would
have
be fun.
to be. Yeah. You're like, I love basketball. I would have been a point guard. I don't know.
Oh man, that would be pretty incredible. I mean, I have dabbled and I thought about this. My degree was in chemistry. I have bounced back and forth within the software world and outside of it. Is in this world I also get compensated enough that I am happy? Because I would go with like being like some master carpenter or something, like
Oh yeah.
I would just suddenly have amazing skills to do like no screw joinery, no nail joinery. I just, all the wood pieces beautifully fit together like you see in those Japanese. They've been doing it for like 1,000 years. They know how to cut them to like a millimeter precision by hand. And then their furniture, you come back 1,000 years later and you're like, wow, still there, still standing. That IKEA desk, I put it outside for a day and it melted in the rain. But this thing, like it survived 15 earthquakes and 3 wildfires and 18 dynasties.
Yeah. I mean, that's definitely a craft that lasts. So sure. Yeah. I mean, I think at this day, if you have that level of skill, you certainly should have the ability to get the income for it, right? Because the people who can pay for quality can pay big money. Like, I would like a heirloom piece for my family. You're gonna pay, but that's
$45,000 bed.
$45,000 bed. That's an untapped market. They're $45,000 frames.
Announcing $45,000 beds.ai. That's my new startup.
Yeah, right, exactly. Designed by AI and only purchased by PHP developers. So
I think you're describing the velvet rope economy. It's like this new world that we live in where people make good money catering to the uber rich, and they can just do crazy, ridiculous things like make mega yachts or $45,000 bed frames because there's someone who's crazy rich who's just like, I want that.
And there's enough of them.
Yep.
There's enough millionaires to really like get into that space. There's the $20,000 phone that just looks like a. Yeah, I saw a recent unboxing of a $20,000 phone, and it
is
just
it made of gold?
No, it wasn't. It came in nice packaging. I guess it had like leather on the back of it, and in general, kind of looked like.
But it's just an Android phone, I guess. Then
probably it was called like Ventu or I don't know, something like that. You should look this up. $20,000 cell phone. So it's quite the opposite of a $15 flip phone. But I think the technology isn't anything better than what we have now. Like I think technologically, it's like the nicest Samsung or whatever or iPhone, but it comes in really fancy packaging and it has like a built-in leather cover or something.
It comes pre-installed with the I Am Rich app.
Yes. That's all you need. It just people see it and they know, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all you want.
There's a market there.
Someone should make the I Am Rich app for Cloud Phone. That's a great idea. Except for the fact that we don't actually have the ability to charge for apps and the users definitely don't have enough money to pay for them. But you could still make an app that is just a button that says I am rich so that people feel good.
I am rich. And then when it opens, it just says in spirit, I'm rich in spirit.
It just puts up a Bitcoin address and says, please pay us.
Pay us real,
the donation
real fake money.
I am rich.
Yeah. I am donating.
The sublime text of apps.
Anyway.
Yeah. All right. Well, Chuck already knows, but it is dinner time for me. Yeah. What do you want to plug before we end, Tom?
Oh, what will I plug? I mean, obviously, Cloud Phone, make an app, make my day. There's a world that you can bring over to flip phones or just try them out. I think you forget that there's a huge market of people in places like South Asia and Africa that would love to be able to access a number of services, but the world isn't designed for them. And if nothing else, add a breakpoint, blow everyone's mind and throw in a 160 or a 320 pixel breakpoint into your Tailwind setup and see if you can make your website scale down to that level. If you need a reference, try an Apple Watch and see if it works there. Then figure out how to make it work without a touchscreen. And then now you've got a feature phone app. Yeah, so that'd be good. I'm also reading.
What's the URL for CloudPhone real quick?
Oh, of course. CloudPhone is cloudphone.tech. So you can learn more there. I've got a link to our developer website, documentation.
That makes sense because I went to cloudphone.com and it doesn't load.
See, this is why I asked these questions. Sorry, and you were saying you were reading?
I was just thinking a book that I started reading. I've done a lot of reading on the Kindle of all places, not using the browser super often, mostly just going to Libby and sending books over. But got The Inevitable by Kevin Kelly. I'm not fully on board yet with the concept of inevitableism, this idea that like, because tech is so amazing, it had to happen. It, software had to eat the world. The smartphone had to consume all of our waking time. But he certainly makes a lot of compelling predictions.
Said it sounds like Sam Altman wrote it. Just because he's like, AI will take over everything.
He hopes.
Maybe he donated.
I don't know.
Could be.
Yeah, sorry, didn't mean to derail you there.
No, I think it's a fascinating, because it was written in 2016, and I think Kevin Kelly's done a lot of interesting work. He was one of the original co-founding editors to Wired back in the 90s, when the internet was just becoming sort of a thing. It was, like Chuck was describing, you had HTML forms. Actually, that may not have even been there yet. I mean, was that HTML1? Did that even have? That's before my time.
Yeah.
It had frames or no frames at some point. I know that.
Right, yeah. I don't know. I think it might have had, I think it definitely had anchors. And
it had the blink tag, which was probably the best tag ever.
Marquee or blink? That should have been a hot take. Yeah, both.
Doesn't Marquee, hasn't it been deprecated for 20 years, but it still works or something?
Yeah, yes, correct. All of those things. Anyway, I don't know without reference whether forms were there, but I think form element was there. So, and I think it would have just been input type button in it, though. He did not have a button element for sure.
You would have needed it, wouldn't you? A submit button. And then
it would have been input type submit or something like that.
Yeah.
Or input type. Yeah, that's what it would have been. I think it was that instead of button. There definitely was a time where there wasn't button yet. Anyway, I digress. Kevin Kelly, read the book. Get interested about less. I think that's less being more kind of thing, not less.
Yeah. Just know that there's an entire world out there. The internet is connecting on a very different plane. Even in India, I thought this was fascinating. The number of websites that don't work because they have so many mobile networks that are IPv6 only. They don't even put up NAT64 so that you've got no backwards compatibility layer. They just don't bother. Why do it? Google works, YouTube works, Facebook works, but what doesn't work is half the websites in the world.
Wow. Interesting. Good to know.
Yeah.
Maybe.
All right. Well, yeah. Thanks everyone for listening. If you liked it, please subscribe, and we will catch you next time.
Just kidding. We'll play that in an actual outro.
You've been watching Whiskey Web and Whatnot, recorded in front of a live studio audience.
What the fuck are you talking about, Chuck?
Enjoyed the show? Subscribe.
People don't pay attention to these, right?
Head to whiskey.fun for merch and to join our Discord server.
I'm serious. It's 2% of people who actually click these links.
And don't forget to leave us a 5-star review and tell your friends about the show.
All right, dude, I'm out of here.
Still got it.